Hi, this is Walter Weesey with Yellowstone Country Fly Fishing, and this is my weekly fly tying techniques video for February 23rd, 2025. What I have in the vise here is a Chubby Chernobyl, and picked this one specifically because you can see here on the wings how this little wing butt is extending beyond the dubbing. This is how the wings are tied on virtually all commercial Chubby Chernobyls. You see the same thing at the back here. And probably virtually all foam flies like this. You know, any sort of a foam fly that has or any fly really commercially that you buy that has a yarn wing like this is going to have the wing tied like this. The wing is doubled back on itself, so there's one clump of yarn here that's tied in, and then it's doubled back on itself and tied in again. And that's to prevent the wing from easily pulling out. You see how this is relatively sturdy. It's kind of a Chinese finger cuff. The problem with this technique is that when the fly starts getting beat up, you know, foam is getting chewed on and things are moving around, what winds up happening is something like this. And you see how that popped right out. I'm sure anyone who has ever fished a Chubby Chernobyl has had that happen, or the wing comes and kind of unfurls like this, and so half is sticking forward and half is sticking back. The method I use is super glue. To secure that wing in the orientation I want and to keep it from pulling out. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. And this is the technique I use in a lot of my videos, but I usually wind up creating a bullet head. Most of my personal hopper patterns, attractor patterns, I actually have a bullet head in front. I don't just have a strip of foam, as you see here on a Chubby Chernobyl. So I'm going to tie it on just a strip of foam, super glue it, and then I'm going to pause and I'll show you what happens and how secure that is. Alright, so I've moved things a little bit closer to the camera here. So, and I've just tied in a strip of foam here. Let's pretend like I'm tying the front wing on a Chubby Chernobyl. I've just got brown foam here and orange thread, and then a almost white, kind of off-white yarn for the wing, just so you can see it for contrast purposes. This is not a real pattern. But anyway, the usual way of tying in a wing on a Chubby would be, I'm trying to do this so that it's oriented towards the camera. You tie in your yarn. The wing on all of these sort of flies is a hydrophobic synthetic yarn. It's a poly yarn that's been dyed hot, and so it gets this kind of crinkle to it, you can see. And Congo hair, widow's web, EP fibers, even Bonnie craft cord, which is a macrame yarn, are the same thing. But anyway, I've tied that in, and then I'm going to fold this. And you saw on the sample fly how you could really see the ends of this. That's why I selected that fly. Most of the time on the Chubbies, you're going to fold it, tie it in, and then you're going to dub over that little fold there. And so you don't actually see the fold on the finished fly because you've got dubbing on the top of it. But that's kind of the way that wing was tied on the standard version. That's the standard way of tying in this kind of wing. And then you would cut the second clump to length back here, which you probably can't even see. The better way of doing it, though, is I'm going to take that off, and rather than having half the volume of wing I want on the finished fly, I'm going to have the whole wing, you know, for each tie-in point. Like on a Chubby that has two wings, obviously, you do this twice. But I've got the clump, you know, full thickness, you know, rather than doubling it over on itself, I'm just going to tie it in like this. And I've got it more or less even to the length I want. And so I'm going to come in, tie that in the same way, probably with a couple more turns, so 3 or 4 turns rather than just a couple. And I'm actually going to trim those butt ends. And I don't trim them right up tight to the thread. You see how I leave a gap there. Now, right now, this is extremely frail. You know, the first time I grabbed this with my forceps, if I had a fish on it, I'd pull it right out. But the thing that makes it ironclad and makes it much more durable is get super glue. This is crazy glue, it doesn't matter. You do want the stuff that dries quickly rather than craft, which has a longer working time. But all I'm going to do is actually swipe that glue along those butt ends. You see how I'm actually putting it on the butt ends and the foam. And then I could also put it on the thread, but I want to demonstrate how durable this makes this. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video for a little bit here to let that glue dry completely. Alright, so while that glue was drying, I went ahead and tied in some legs and some dubbing here to kind of ape what an actual Chubby Chernobyl would look like. And I'm going to go ahead and grab that material, and you see how that's not moving. That is not moving at all. I am not pulling any of that stuff out. And now I'm really going to show how durable it is. I'm going to back off. I'm going to take off that dubbing I put on, assuming it will come off. This is why I didn't really care much about what the fly looked like, because it's not really a fly. My dubbing didn't obviously want to come off there, but I'm actually backing off all of that thread. Okay, there's a little bit of dubbing on there still, it just didn't quite come off. But actually at the moment, there are no thread wraps securing that bundle of wing fibers there. And now I'm not going to be able to jerk on this like I did before. But you see it still wants to stay on there. I mean, I'm not pulling as hard as I was, but that still is not quite coming off. I mean, here you can see I've lifted that up. There is nothing securing that to the body except for that glue, and I'm still not really losing much of it. So imagine in real life scenarios how durable that would be. As I said, this is how I do it on all of my foam flies that have this kind of a material. I just usually have it covered up. I usually tie bullet heads. You know, I usually have a head on the fly like this, and so you can't actually see the connection. But this is, I mean, it was bomb-proof. You saw I just ripped it off, but you get the point. Anyway, I'll be doing a foam fly using this tying technique, although not a Chubby Chernobyl, here in a couple days. If you found this video helpful, drop a coin in the Buy Me a Coffee link at the bottom of the pattern description. If you're looking for guided trips in the Yellowstone region, get in touch. Strangely enough, I'm already almost booked solid the last week of August, so if you're looking to come in late August, it might be a little busier than usual. I've got one open day still that week. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a couple days.